Hey there, it's Alex. We're gonna do we're gonna do let's see here, another AJH Daily Defensives Content. This one's February 7th, 2019. I'm gonna run down the week. This is basically one of those content that I try to put into play daily to let know as to what's happening in a spiritual defensive sort of way. At times, it's probably been seen in some of my videos, especially some of the diary entry stuff. That sometimes I can be you know. It can be advocation heavy at times. We did testification disclaimers, that sort of thing. There is stuff in regards to that, and then the way I approach subjects and talk about things at times can probably seem a bit much to a certain degree. And I don't mean to be upsetting about it. I do want to be truthful and honest about it. And I think, though, that there is a need for understanding that. Understanding, I think it's one of those things within the context of defense that can help. Knowledge will help you survive, I feel. And by way of some of the stuff that you can learn and some of the stuff that you can figure out by way of spiritual defense, I think it's a good thing, and it is needed. Now, when I talk about some of the things that I let know of, like advocation work and disclaimer work, but also some of the things and the subjects that are happening, within the confines of those videos, content experiences, writings, and things of that nature, there is a context to it, and sometimes I don't fully let know of the context, but there's context nonetheless. For example, I might break into song and just sort of like say, there might start open channeling, and might start conversing with spirit, within my videos at times. It's that sort of thing where sometimes it happens. I get told in a different kind of communication, in multiple kinds of communications. I'm a psychic medium. I speak to spirits. I can speak with them. We can open channel them at times, and it's one of those things that really does matter greatly. I'm asking for my channel to be protected. The way it's negated. Why do I go there? Because I felt my psychic activity get affected to a certain degree. I'm asking for those who feng shui my psychic activity and deal with my psychic activity. That's my main spirit guides indicated in regards to Alex James Hislop and others from my main spirit guides to be situated the way my main spirit guides indicated. Light, fire, light, setting my main spirit guides indicated. Light, do what my main spirit guides indicated in regards to it the way my main spirit guides indicated. I and others from Spirit Guides are advocating for clarifications and information in regards to those that from Spirit Guides indicated the way my Guides indicated. Misleading, etc. from Spirit Guides are terms that I use, which is fully defined by my main Spirit Guides. Light, far light, setting the Spirit Guides indicated. Light, do what my Guides indicated regarding it the way my Spirit Guides indicated. And that's the problem with this. I don't believe that. And that was the thing of it. So yeah, it's something that you start to understand, and by way of my own process, I sort of realized that at times there is negative spirits around us, that there is anti-camp culture, that sort of thing, where spirits might be hanging around making fun of you, some of that stuff in regards to some of us, not all of us, by way of even just letting know of it, and then sort of assuming that that's the case of it could shape your process, and just because you think about things doesn't mean that you assume it. There is a little bit of there's a bit of a misunderstanding. That's what there is. And I haven't fully seen it from that perspective. Well, I haven't fully approached it from that perspective to a certain degree. No, there's nothing to say about that. And there's a partial reason as to why it turned that way, but that's also it. And you don't know why that is. See, right there. So this is a good example. When you're watching this video, you're like, okay, so what happened there? All of a sudden you were getting a little bit agitated and things of that nature. Well, it was a conversation that I was sort of talking with a spirit. This is it. Something happened. I heard a communication. I spoke and I started talking to the certain spirits about a certain issue that I didn't necessarily let the viewers know about, by way of, some of the things that the physicals go through down here on this physical planet Earth. It looks a certain way. It feels a certain way, but it's not necessarily a certain way. And we've seen it. We know it. And of course, making the pristine in regards to some of those who are experiencing some of that stuff is an age-old tactic, but you don't think they're watching the Joes at times? What do you think this is? Oh, come on. No, garbage that ish. That's how I feel. Of course they're watching the Joes. The regular people on this planet at times. What do you think? Jesus. What do you think? And it's a let no and a half, but it is something that needs to happen. It's one of those things that's like, yeah, now we got the formalities out of the way. For freak's sake. All the house cleaning was finished and done. For freak's sake. Jesus. You don't know why it is. As you are correct. That's why. It's one of the sample sizes that's removed from a certain ecosystem, and you know what that means, Alex. Yeah, it's a good metaphor for when, certain spirits try to feng shui psychic activity and how I feel things and stimulate things, and then sort of say it and say, oh, but Alex, you were safe and protected when, other spirits, beings, on this physical planet Earth weren't necessarily so to a certain degree. You take Earth away from a certain kind of context and a whole groups of physical humans, or animals, things like that, away from a certain kind of ecosystem. And then that ecosystem, that's like a bit of a metaphor, that sort of thing where it's like, okay, well, if one person on this physical planet Earth is there's a sample size removed from it, and it's like, oh, well, he was all protected and safe. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the certain other animals or certain other physical humans on this physical planet Earth were safe. Not to mention the other dimensionals too, because I think that they matter as well. But you do think of that sort of idea being applied to Earth and other dimensionals to a certain extent. I'm advocating for my communications to be, I've already advocated for my communications to be set today the way you guys need it. I've already advocated for my time to be set today the way you guys need it. And I don't do it every day. Just because I don't do it every day doesn't mean I don't want it set the way you guys indicate it every day, the way you guys indicate it. Anyhow, yeah, so it's one of those things that spirits, I think, can influence certain situations, your dimensional setup, things like that. We talk about bodies and other dimensional bodies and things of that nature, and spiritual writings. That stuff is it's out there. There's a lot of talk in regards to astral bodies, etheric bodies, light bodies, that sort of stuff. And imagine that stuff can be set in different kinds of ways. Imagine that can be stacked in different kinds of ways. They can be sort of brought in a certain kind of setting, and partially because they already have their own. Is that it? And that's also it. Well, whatever then, Alex. I don't know why. I'm glad people are safe. Well, whatever then. You don't know why, because I know this person. He's like that at times. Yep. For Christ's sake, especially with influencing and manipulation. No, why would that happen? And tell me that's not going to happen in the future, right? I'm not going to be put in a situation where that happens, right? Where that presents itself, correct? Well, this is going to be interesting to see, because that's also it. I've already asked to not be put in situations in the future like that in the ways that means you guys indicate the way you guys need it. With that being said, we got a content to record. So, what are some techniques? Well, no, I think one of the things is knowledge, understanding, psychic research, learning different kinds of things that exist out there. One of the biggest ones I think that we can do in regards to spiritual defense is learning and understanding what exists out there. On the scientific community behind the scenes, there has been some work to a certain degree. I feel like to a certain extent. That's how I feel about it. I feel like it's existed out there. It's been existing, and I don't see that missed out. See, that's the problem with it. A couple sample sizes, people taking the week off. I mean, that was also what was said. That was what was brilliant about it. They said somebody said that, right? I mean, this past week, there's been a not just past week. I think it was actually the end of January, potentially. End of January, early February, somebody even said that, we're going to be taking, somebody said they're going to be taking a month off. Somebody said they're going to be taking 2 weeks off. And somebody said they're going to be taking a week off. So it was a sample size of certain kinds of people taking, certain kinds of time off. So I think the first week is pretty much up and done, and probably someone decided to come back to work either on the 8th or the 7th, maybe a little bit before for some of them. But it's that sort of thing that says, okay, so there's people taking breaks off. And of course, saying that, oh, well, then how is it that they need defense? Well, nobody said if it was, the good guys or the bad guys. So that's what's brilliant about this, is that it could be, certain spirits who usually, harangue and harass, do this sort of negative stuff. But it also could have been, and I was wondering, and I think some people were assuming that it was some decent people as well. But that's also it. There's a bit of an underlying, they didn't actually fully say, so let's just wait and see. Because it's one of those things where everyone's just sitting here saying that, oh, well, if that's all just good people coming back, then what does that mean? I'm like, the bad guys didn't take a week off. The bad guys didn't take didn't take a little bit of a vacay. I'm advocating for the vacations. That means you guys need to be situated the way you guys indicated. So it's one of those things that in doing research, different things you can do. Yeah, researching a spiritual anatomy. I think that's one of the biggest ones. Spiritual anatomy in learning what we are. And I'm still doing my research. I'm still trying to figure it out too. I know that I have felt as a psychic a lot of different things, a myriad different amount of different stuff. And I'm having for the updates that makes guys negative pertaining to the past 7 days, the first week of February 2019, to be displayed. Where was guys negated? The women's guys negated light, far light, setting them guys negated light, doing women's guys negated in regards to those targeted in regards to Alex James Hislop and others from Instagram guides to women's guys negated. Today, this past week has felt a bit personal to me. It's one of those things where it's like I feel like, certain people go to a certain spot and say, listen, we need it to be this for a bit because we've been taking, whatever it is. And it's like, well, I guess it has to be, it's by its nature. Maybe, you never know. But it's one of those things where somebody takes a look at certain things and says, we need a little bit of personal in the mix. But I don't think personal should take the freaking fall for it because, quite honest, I don't know how much personal is going to be left. I mean, this is the thing. That's what I want to see behind the scenes. I want to see just a steamroll of just like the personal being just taken care of, being not hurt or attacked, but just done, quashed in the ways that mainstream guides indicated. Because then that's really it. I mean, when that's just twiddling our thumbs and what else? They're tumbleweed and crickets, and that's what I want to see. That's what I'm gonna. That's the thing of it. That they be able to achieve that forgiveness and trust, compassion, caring, kindness. Maybe. I think that's some of it. I'm advocating for compassion, caring, kindness, as well as trust and forgiveness to be protected. The women's guys indicated. Light, far light, setting the women's guys indicated. Light, display the tactics that the main spirit guides indicated daily, where main spirit guides indicated, the way main spirit guides indicated. I'm advocating for those that need defending that main spirit guides indicated in regards to this marking application, etc. For main spirit guides to be protected, defended, and healed daily, the way main spirit guides indicated. So dimensional anatomy, one of those things that I have felt at times. I have felt, I'll do a small rundown of some of it, but it's not all of it. It's certainly some of it. Imagine being able to highlight your being. Imagine being able to, a certain kind of, I don't know if a certain kind of light turns on. It might, I think, but it's like highlighting your certain kind of dimensional atmospherics. And pure women's guys needed debris, pure highlighting debris. I'm asking for clarifications. Well, I've done, AJH Earth doing call words. I've done multiple things today, I think, to a certain extent. And so have they to a certain degree as well. And it's in multiple contexts. I and others from Instagram guides are asking for the call words that guys needed to be protected, the way Instagram guides indicated, because that does exist. It does exist for a reason. And that's also it. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so I mean, that's also it too, right? Well, that's also it. We want to see where your mentality is gauged. That was the real true here. Because that's how you felt there. And that was what someone's going to say. So don't press that button, good sir. For freak's sake. Well, that was why. Anyway, pure highlighting debris. Pure highlighting debris. It's one of those things where pure highlighting debris is a call word that I use. So I utilize call words and things like that. I find it beneficial doing it towards a call word that your main spirit guides can look after and your main spirit guides at times that you set up with your main spirit guides. For mine, I know I set it up with my main spirit guides and those that main spirit guides indicated, AJH Earth doing call words. And yeah, so this is one of those things that happens at times. And this was the thing of this. This is all this is going to be then. Because people have been stealing from you all damn day, Alex. That's all it's been. And how much resources are going to be sunk into all this nonsense? Ugh, Jesus. I mean, how many other call words can you come up with? This is the reason then. Then why would it be? Whatever then, Alex. You really are going to go this way. And I don't know, man. Well, don't try and talk them out of it now. Is there no bub in the mix? Oh, sorry, we're supposed to hold the bub. Okay, well, I and others from Instagram guides are advocating for what means guys needed in regards to those women's guys needed, the women's guys needed, light, power, light, sending women's guys needed, light, do women's guys needed in regards to the defense of the soothsayers that women's guys needed, as well as others from Instagram guides and women's guys needed. I'm advocating for the dimensions that women's guys indicated. I'm advocating for them to be protected. The women's guys indicated. Well, you don't know why they're pissed with you. Because you said, screw you. That is what you said to them. You said, you know what, I'm tired of it. I don't want to hear it anymore. Is that what I said? Or is that not what I said? Not really. You didn't say it that way. You said, listen, I can't help you. I can't help you because you never forget. No. Why was it that I couldn't help them? Say the truth. I couldn't help them because they wouldn't let me help you. Okay. Oh, well, then that's the end of that. That's a side conversation. Sorry, viewers. I don't mean to be upsetting about it. It was just one of those things that I think we need to clear the air. But was that the truth? Because it does matter. We're recording a content right now. We're asking. Yeah, it was the truth. For a reason, I'm adding the clarifications that means guys indicated to be displayed where it's for guys indicated, the way it's for guys indicated. Anyway, still doing highlighting here, and since highlighting that I can feel it in another dimensional sort of way, another dimensional feeling in regards to it. It's it reminds me of a yellow for me, but there's other different kinds, I think, different colors. I feel yellow in regards to it. Doesn't mean that that's my soul color for what's acceptable. I like yellow. Yellow's mellow, man. Yellow is cool. Cool, man. Cool. That's why bananas are yellow. For freaks, that's why bananas are yellow. And green's cool, too. As cool as a cucumber. That's why they're green. For freak's sake. Isn't that number? That's well, it is, I think. But, that's what some of the reasons definitely has to be. I think so. Anyway, I don't know what to tell you about it, okay? I'm not being upset about it. I see it from multiple perspectives. I don't know. Anyway, highlighting, it's one of those things I feel a dimensional sort of perspective. I felt wavy forms. Wavy forms is like, I don't want to say ghosting, but it's one of those things where it feels light, airy. And I think that maybe there is that sort of thing at times where people could, where your dimensional anatomy could be feng shuied a certain way to sort of reflect a sort of ghosticus kind of ghostish kind of thing. And I'm advocating for ghosticus to be protected when he says negative. I'm for ghosts to be protected when he says negative. I think ghosts is another dimensional existence, potentially at times overlapping. I and others from Insta Guides are advocating for the ghosts. That means guys needed to go to the light. That means guys needed the women says negated. But I and others from Insta Guides are advocating for the ghosts. That means guys needed pertaining to this marking application, etc. From Insta Guides to go to the dark. That means guys needed the women guys needed. I think does matter. I think that there is other dimensional existences. Light, that's being one of them. I think there's multiple kinds of light. Another kind is dark. I feel like there's multiple kinds of dark. There's multiple kinds of dark. I do have there's a certain light I call faraway light, and it's that light, which is fully defined by my main spirit guides, the way my guides indicated. But one of the ways I sort of equated is one of the end of the line dimension. One of the end of the line dimensional existences of light. And I think that there is a faraway dark, which is that end of the line dimensional existence, one of them at least, in regards to darkness. I think it exists. I think it's a truth. And I think that there is truth in regards to many different things pertaining to it. I am advocating for the darkness that means guys negated, and the dark concepts that means guys negated, as well as others from Insta Guides to be protected, the means guys negated. With that being said, highlighting is one of those things that I do, sometimes pure highlighting debris, one of those things. Another sort of dimensional overlap that I've sort of felt about. Communication. There's communication mechanisms at times that I'm able to utilize. You think about different kind of thoughts mechanisms. You think about different kinds of think about imagination. You think about dreams. There's people who've had daydreams. There's people who've used imagination. There's people who've had those thought mechanisms. Those are real things that you're able to do. And is there a physical component to it? Well, sure, to a certain extent for some. Some would point towards the brain in regards to a lot of those to a certain extent, but it's not the only thing, is it? When you start to feel those mechanisms, they're not the only thing that you can do. There's other things that you can do. There's other kinds of, and as a psychic, I've felt those mechanisms be moved. And you're like, okay, well, how does that work? Imagine being able to feel your thoughts mechanisms being moved to another part of your body. As a psychic medium, I have felt that to a certain degree. And it's freaky stuff. It really is. Imagine being able to talk out of your hand and within your mind being moved. As a psychic medium, there is that stuff too, where certain spirits and beings, etc., from Insta Guides have done that sort of. There is some crazy antics at times. The spirit realm has its trixies, and it is very cool. I'm advocating for mischievous to be protected when it's needed. I'm advocating for evil and immorality to be protected when it's needed. I'm advocating for negative and thievery to be protected when it's needed. I'm advocating for those when it's needed to be protected when it's needed. I've already advocated for them to be protected though. When it's needed. All right then. Okay, because that's why then. That's how we feel about it then. Anyway, that's how we felt about this all. You don't know why. You don't know why they were all doing it to that. And this was the case of this. Oh, whatever then. Listen, don't. You don't know why. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you though. I mean, this is the case of it. You don't want me to do this, then go speak to them. That's the real truth of it. Whatever. All right, fine, never mind. Well, that's why. Just got a little bit of energy loss there. Whew. At times I've discerned certain kind of energy drops as well. And that's another thing. It's another discernment that can be utilized in regards to defense. At times I've had those energy drops. I'm just like, I just want to stop recording this content and go lay down or go play some video games or do whatever the hell it is, because that seems to be the one, the one. And it's not the one. It's one of those ones where, and that's a part of the defense, I guess, is in letting know and understanding what kind of things can happen around you, and learning about dimensional anatomy, and learning about cultures around you, and learning about the spirit realm around you, the spirit world around you, that there is positivity. I'm not even for the feng shuiing of positivity. Whatever happened to that? Just last week, it was all, it felt that way. Felt like there was positivity around. Not this week. No way. Not much. Not on my end. Couple things here and there, but other than that, what's it been? Really? You don't know why. That's a decent thing, if that's the case of it. That's what you're saying. But if you're saying that, then Hales knows. I'm sorry. Well, at what point? I mean, I see it and care about it. And yeah, the same thing can be applied. But there's that sort of thing where it's like, we still need positivity in the area. That's how I feel about it. Well, it's not going anywhere. There's people who are sunshine and rainbows, man, high on life, like you used to say. Well, I'm advocating for the teachers. That means you guys need to be protected the way you guys indicated. Well, that's great. That's why, Alex. That's why these people have been attacked at times. And where's everyone been on that, huh? People have been. Have they? All right, so we're fucking up massively then if that's the case of it. If this is the real true, then we really did. I think so. Okay. That's how Alex feels about it. Sorry, but you can't expect me not to feel that way. Most people are all innocent, man. Sorry. It's kind of how I feel about it. Because that's what it really is it? Okay, all right, fine. That was why. You don't. You haven't been. It's an old tactic to say that, to have it, be led astray. But, these mechanisms here in this process, it's a damn travesty. It really is. That's how I feel about it. I don't want to deal with certain kind of argumentatives in this process any longer. So as you can see, people, at times I've been, led astray in regards to certain kind of argumentatives, in regards to certain content, but also at times outside the content. And it's one of those things that happened in, I think it was November, I said, no more arguments. We are done with the arguments here. And of course, it still happened, but not to the degree that it was, And I know that in certain moments in October, it was just like, okay, there's so much shit going on that we're not even paying attention to certain kind of argumentatives, because it's just like, it was like a lot of stuff happening where we were just like, no, this is all warranted. Everything. There was a bunch of shit that was happening where we were literally not even paying attention to whether Alex James Hislop was chirping off or not, because there was so much crap happening. And that was the real true. And it wasn't just obviously that was a different thing. There was a whole shift that happened in regards to that from September was another conflict in September. I remember late September conflict to a certain extent. I know there's a lot of conflict in spiritual, back and forth and battle and warfare. How would it be if you were to know that there was spiritual battles around you that you couldn't discern and feel to a certain extent? Like stuff where when you're walking down the street, there was a whole D-Day, literally like D-Day happening around you as you walk to school. And, there's just a little bit of a quietness to the air. You ever get one of those quiet moments? Like there's, you ever see that scene from Dreamcatcher where the animals are walking past and that sort of stuff? I'm advocating for women's guys to negate in regards to the apocalyptic events that men's guys negate, the women's guys negate. Anyhow, but it's more than that. It's been like, well, not more than that, but at times, this is it. Is there something that could be said about that? Where there's like a 30% or a 40% of Earth that is physical humans that have experienced that? Can that be said? Or is that a low ball estimate? That is a low ball estimate, good sir. Right now, currently, that's a lowball estimate. We think it's more like 60 or 70%. And this is the real true. So that is a cray-cray statistic. That was an open channeling spirit saying that it's potentially near 60 to 70% of physical humans on this physical earth that are potentially, who have experienced one of those moments at the very least where it's like, another spiritual sort of D-Day. Different kind of battles taking place around you, not necessarily in certain kind of context. It doesn't have to be exactly like D-Day, but it can be, but battle nonetheless. Imagine that, where you're walking down the street and there's just all different kinds of, to a certain degree. Imagine, that's why. This is Alex fucking here. He screwed us here. All righty then. You caught them with their pants down. Did I? They were trying to hurt you here. And this was the case of this. I found, that would be why then. That's one of them. It is one of them. And they took that one away for a reason. That's what they said it was, but that was the problem with it. And it's not meant that way. It's meant as this. I know there's women guides are asking for those dimensional existences that makes us need to be protected the way Mr. Guides indicated. Why is it that it was taken away? Because something changed, and you know it. Yeah, something did change. I haven't necessarily been too much. I think I was brought down a bit to a certain extent, and it was, in a certain dimensional, layer. That's why we look at that and we just like something that happened this past week where I woke up from a dream and a lot of turbulence happening. There was a lot of blood-curdling screams, in other dimensional existences to a certain extent. Not to say that it doesn't exist near constantly for some. Well, whatever then. It's like, how would we be able to respond if someone was to be able to say that at any moment within life there is someone screaming somewhere in pain, suffering, and that's just, you can't change that because, you look at the statistics on Earth that there is, potentially certain kind of acts of violence happening in a certain kind of way, near overlapping, the whole 24-hour period of the day. And that is the real truth. So you take that concept, you apply it to the whole physical universe itself, even without other dimensional, statistic, and that would be, that. At any moment, there is somebody screaming in pain somewhere off in the distance. And it's not supposed to scare you or upset you. It is supposed to let know and inform. So what does that mean when you apply the other dimensional sort of version to it? Well, it becomes a no question that is the true of it. In regards to the physical, that means you guys indicated. And I'm advocating for clarifications and information in regards to the physical that means you guys needed, the way means you guys needed, light, far light, setting the way you guys indicated, light, do what means you guys needed regarding it, the way means you guys indicated. We talk about things in regards to this AJH Daily Defensives. I don't know what to tell you. It's not just about advocations, good sir. It's also about understanding. And a part of that understanding is by way of talking about defense and things of that nature. That's not new. Well, because they said it was a different kind of, thing. That's what they said here. You showed effort. You never quit. So we're here, and that's why. Because that is effort. But it wasn't motivation that I would have quit there, though. Was it? It was energy levels. And that's true. Yeah, well, whatever then. Because that's the case of it. Yesterday they said it wasn't. No, it was energy levels. You're talking about the Master Tradition issue discussions that I recorded yesterday. My energy levels were fairly, that's how maybe it was motivation. I don't know. It was both. It was a mixed bag, I think. Either way, that's how I kind of felt about it. It's just one of those things where it's like, I feel at times, and I want to quit, and just by way of how I feel at times, and not necessarily because I want to. I'm not saying, sometimes I am tired. I know people look at it and say, oh, well, you didn't call. Well, some people do throughout the day where you work hard to the bone and someone says like, oh, well, you still didn't get what you want to get done. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, but I'm still trying. I'm still trying to help. I'm still doing my thing. I'm not out partying every day where someone else is, and there's something wrong with that, though. And this is the thing of it. I don't think there's anything wrong with partying because it matters. People should be partying. If there's nobody partying, then there's something wrong. It's a real true. It's the same thing can be applied to the positive, and that's what's amazing about it. The same thing can be applied. Why is that? Because at any moment, somebody's out there having fun. someone out there is being happy near constantly. In a 24-hour period, you think about all the things that are happening in the physical planet Earth. You think about everybody who's experiencing certain things, and there's a near almost certainty that for the 24 hours, that there's at least one person out there who's happy and safe. And the same thing can be applied to the entire physical. So it becomes a no question. And there's a statistic website where if you take a look at it, there's this ticker that just continues to tick off in regards to like how many people are being born in any moment, and everybody being, somebody being killed in any moment. That right there is a tell. If that ticker is changing, if there's thousands of deaths in a day, then that's a tell. That really is. You apply that to the physical, and if it's not just thousands, it's millions, billions, potentially trillions. Oh, then that right there tells you all it is. But it's not just deaths; it's births too. It's why. You apply that concept to the other dimensional, and that it's just it's a constant number that's rolling. Like, look at the number. What is the numbers out there that some people know? It doesn't have to be the entire one. You can just put a certain sample size. I mean, it's you guys indicating it's just a constant sort of thing. But what are some of the there might be ones out there that are not necessarily that's not necessarily normal, is it? Can it be normal? Can that be normal? Because that's why. If it was the physical, Alex, would you be saying that? Where there's one that's just like really, really stacking up, going super quick. I mean, at what point do you not ask what the hell is going on out there? Is it just a large population of groups that are changing? Because the insinuation for some, they didn't say it was physical, but they said, what if it would be? Wouldn't you want to help? Wouldn't you want to do something to try and help them? It's one of those things where people say, yeah, you know what? I mean, you look at it from another perspective, and why wouldn't we want to try and, make sure people were okay to a certain extent? But there is that sort of thing, too, where it's like, yeah, well, why wouldn't we want to stay out of it and be okay for what's acceptable, And it's not meant to say that we're not going to be okay if we do help, but it is to say that people sometimes don't want to stick their nose where it might get burned. Yeah, if Paul, that's also it. And some people are tired, man. They see those stats daily. They see that running number happen every goddamn day. There is people who've been seeing that number for trillions of years. And for some they are. For some they are tired, and for some they're not. Maybe we should take a look at certain kind of hookups if possible, a matter for motivation to be protected and guys negated. So it's one of those things where we talk about things that are going to keep us going within, imagine if thousands of years, we understand that there's battle taking place in certain kinds of ways. Some of it be banners attacking each other, factions attacking each other. It's like, well, how is that normal? It's like, oh, how is it not normal? You take a look at physical Earth-based, and there's tribes in Africa fighting daily. There is multiple different things. There is a genocide happening in certain areas of this planet, and we still fully haven't figured it out. And so it's not necessarily so shocking and unheard of to be able to say, listen, that potentially exists somewhere. And just because it exists somewhere doesn't mean positivity doesn't exist. That's the thing of it, good sir. We're not going to give that up and just, are you kidding me? No. No way. No. There was a big energy that got moved here, and I feel like it should not be moved in the ways that you guys indicated. It's something that we still need to understand. Why are you going to move it all the way all of a sudden for that? Well, isn't it our choice? Don't the peoples of Earth get to choose the words that they want to go? Well, don't the peoples of those that my main spirit guides indicated get to choose where they want to go? Well, aren't we a part of these people, Alex? Well, I'm having for immorality rights. That means you guys need to be displayed. Women's guys need the women's guys need. People are labeling it that way, but that's not what it is. You don't think there's certain brimstone beings that are over here on this? A lot of different people. I haven't fully explained, my stance on certain things. You might be not necessarily where you want to be, Anyhow, I am advocating for clarifications regarding that energy that makes guys need, because that matters greatly. It's that sort of thing that says when something's brought up and then that the physicals sort of say like, oh man, like how can that be? Not just physicals. Oh, I hope. Well, I hope. I don't know if I hope. It depends on what it is. I might just be like, okay, well, at least it wasn't them. There's that sort of thing where it's like you bring something up where there's like battle in the spirit, and some people are just like, oh my God, that can't be. That's not the heaven that I know. Well, it's not just about heaven, first off, and not to say that there isn't battle in heaven, because I feel that there is. You ever hear about brimstone angels? I mean, that's so, let's just say dark angels, I think, exist. And it's not necessarily just that kind of stuff where it's like, cast down. No offense, nothing wrong with that for what's acceptable. It does exist to a certain degree. You don't think God's gotten brimstone, Alex? You don't think that sort of thing exists? Yeah, it exists to a certain degree. But there's also that care, compassionate, and kindness version, and it exists too. Multiple exist. Some dark, some not. And that's really how some see it, for frick's sake. Either are or you're not, for freak's sake. Well, I'm going with what means for God's syndicate regarding, because that is really, there is that sort of thing. Smile behind a veil, and at times though, there is a let know that people have let know that they are, scary and dangerous, and there are some of us looking around like this isn't the scary and dangerous sort of stuff. For me, it is. Holy crap! It's like people, just dark and brimstone stuff. People, I mean. I'm asking for the sacrifices that means guys needed to be done in the ways that means guys needed, the way means guys needed. Well, okay then. I'm asking for the families that means guys needed to be protected the ways guys needed. Where is the concept of family? I kind of feel like it's been missing to a certain degree in a bit in the past, I don't know, 2-3 weeks. To a certain degree, for what's acceptable. So I am asking for family to be protected the ways you guys needed. I'm asking for, that sort of stuff to be situated the ways you guys needed. So yeah, a lot of different kinds of concepts that there. I was talking about dimensional overlap. So what other ones are there? So I talk about communication mechanisms. We talk about those mechanisms again, where we go like thoughts, imagination, that sort of stuff. Well, imagine if there's a whole crap ton of other ones. What if there was someone who tried to explain what imagination was? And someone's like, I don't know how to fully explain it. It's a visual thing. You're trying to explain it to maybe a being who's not visual. You're trying to explain it to someone who's not necessarily, how do you explain audio to a person who's never heard before? Why do you explain that to a species that doesn't necessarily have, certain kinds of ears? You're like, it just, it's audio, man. You hear it in a certain kind of way. Imagine other senses that we don't have, that we're not fully able to explain. Imagine that we do have some of them in another dimensional sort of way, where certain psychics who can't feel their other dimensional bodies, aren't necessarily, clued in to a certain extent. Now, I have at times felt other dimensional bodies, but I don't fully know what those senses are, but I do know that some of them exist. There is things that I've experienced that might be considered, extra sensory, different kinds of ways, senses. You think about dogs scenting. There's a line in a book, and it really does explain it perfectly. It explains it pretty damn well. It's beautiful, and it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, imagine you're able to see and smell at the same time. Imagine that. It's like, okay, dogs scenting, that sort of thing. And it's almost like a visual kind of thing with their nose and smelling at the same time, I think. It's like, yeah, being able to see by way of smelling. There is that sort of thing to a certain degree. Imagine like a certain kind of color pops up when you're on the scent, that sort of thing. There's like almost a visual kind of, feeling to it, almost a touch. Some people might consider that a certain kind of touch, seeing and touching at the same time. That's sort of that. You think about perception, and that might be, that's one of those things that's like, ooh, you think about memory and perception. Some people mistake them to be one and the same. Sometimes they're feng shuied that way to be one and the same for what's acceptable. But you take a look at it, and it really is, I feel, it can be a different sense. Perception's one of those things where it's like being able to see and feel at the same time. I think to a certain degree, it's like at times I've seen the whole visuals that some people might equate to be imagination. Some people might, again, it might be one of those things where you can feng shui it the same way. Imagine being able to feng shui hearing and smelling into the same sense, and you'll be able to feng shui in a certain dimensional existence to be able to experience it. They could potentially do that as a psychic medium. I'm thinking that certain kind of movers and shakers of dimensions are able to do certain things. There's a certain thing like that. Let's crack out, a certain kind of thing in a certain dimensional existence. Imagine that there's something to a physical that you can do at different times, certain kind of dimensional, things that you can do at times in certain kinds of ways. Different kinds of things you can, do at times. One of these days, you'll try and stop manipulating it to be that issue. For free's sake, because that's the truth. Y'all know it. For free's sake, y'all know it. Well, that was the problem with it. That's what's great about it, though, is that it is that issue, except it isn't. And you're making it that issue, unless it is. Well, that's why, because you brought that up earlier. That is interesting. I did kind of see that, Maybe there was one earlier. This is the case of it. Shucks, gosh darn, for freak's sake. But I'm going with women's for God's syndicate regarding it, so, yeah. Either way, imagine there's other dimensionals that hang around you at times, and there's like a myriad of different things that they can do with other dimensional beings in front of the scenes. It'd be like, imagine we're able to see certain dimensional existences, certain dimensional beings in front of the scenes as a physical and other dimensional. So imagine you being able to interact with him. Imagine he has this circle in his near his throat area, and imagine that you can interact with that circle. You can put your hand up to it, you can maneuver it, change it, and that you realize that when you change that circle in a certain direction, that the voice does a different thing. That when he speaks, he's speaking and talking, and he's in this sort of room, and he's in this other dimensional, sort of existence, and you're able to interact with him, and then maybe someone says that, like, well, you can't interact with all these kind of beings, but because he's a certain kind of psychic that you can interact with him. Imagine that sort of thing. I think there's that sort of stuff, and I think that actually is partially potentially what psychictivity is. You become psychic, there's a certain kind of sense that other dimensionals are potentially able to interact with you in certain ways. They're able to potentially speak with, other dimensionals behind the scenes. It's like, hey, we have access to these dimensionals behind the scenes because Alex Physical, is a psychic. That's how awesome it is. All of a sudden you're able to see and perceive certain kind of colors, and those colors happen to be, other dimensional beings that in a certain kind of time frame look like a whole different, conversation. You could see the whole kind of, form as to what people are wearing and what they're talking about and that sort of stuff. And it's not just, little dots of color that you're watching. All of a sudden it's something totally different. And because you're psychic in the physical, or maybe because you're psychic in another dimensional existence, you're able to sort of perceive and have those sort of experiences as a psychic, whether that be in the physical or the other dimensional. With that being said, it's that sort of stuff where you were able to interact with other dimensional beings, and by way of how you interact with them, you're able to affect what they do. For example, voice inflection. So someone messes with your throat chakra when you're talking, and all of a sudden you get a cracked voice. You ever start talking, you get a little more higher pitch, not necessarily of your own accord. Do you ever have those times when you're just talking, where your inflection changes? There's times when you just start talking, and those mandates out there in regards to, me talking, letting know of this stuff really does matter. People should, be able to learn in regards to this stuff. Education exists, good sir, because there's some stuff that happens at times, and it's just bull crap. All right, fine. I'm sorry. I'm not meaning to upset anybody with it, because that's what we tried on. Well, I'm advocating for healing and defense, etc. Moments, guys, in regards to those ways as needed and ways as needed. I appreciate it to a certain extent for what's acceptable. Potentially not so. Yeah, well, their day comes too, and that's also man. He's like, I remember that ish. It's like, another man's day is another man's not for what's acceptable. And then vice versa, and that's also it. There was a couple times where I saw that happen. It'd be like, or at least thought it did. That sort of thing where it's like, a certain banner passes through, and it's not somebody's day, but then, half a year later when that other banner passes through and it's not that person's day, it's like, yeah, well, I'm advocating for healing, protection, defense, etc. departments for guys. Again, the way it's for guys indicated. And this time, anyway, I realize that stuff exists, and I'm not trying to be upsetting about it. I just, I know how I feel about it. But yeah, yeah, so, imagine being able to interact with him, and then you start to learn and understand all the different things that you can do with him. And by the end of it, there's like, let's say you're billions of years old, and it's not just thousands of years, and you have the knowledge of huge books of like what physicals are and, that sort of thing, or, what other dimensional are, what other dimensional is, and the amount of things that you can do with them, and if they've been learned, like you can take dimensional existences out of their chakras, or you can do different kinds of, different kinds of things with them. There might be times when it's like, once a year we want to do this to a physical, or like do certain things. And it's one of those things where it's, whoa, I'm advocating for women. Whoa, or whoa, cool, for what's acceptable. What the ones he has needed regarding it. And when certain things are done, it's just, you can see how when people interact with you, and like, because there is that sort of stuff where I've experienced certain stimuli where it's not necessarily as normal as what some people think it is, where though there has been negative experiences at times, there's also been positive experiences at times in multiple kinds of ways. But it is one of those things where there's dimensional interaction, and there's many different things that people can potentially do. And I love how there's just sort of this blasé sort of things like, oh, we can do that. It's like, oh my God. It's like, this is one of those things that's like, not necessarily seen too often. They don't necessarily do too often in regards to other dimensional, beings or things of that nature. And it's just this sort of like idea and understanding that they don't do it that often. There's a moderation to it that's beautiful, right? Because there's like, and there's even stuff that certain physicals never experience, when they pass on. And it's wondrous that people wouldn't even just be like, nah, we don't feel like doing that. It's just like, one of those things that's like, well, for a reason. Some of it might be, we don't know like the amount of things that we're able to do as certain kind of beings, powerful beings. I felt things out of my chakras, things like that, where is like powerful light is being cast in the sky. This sort of you ever see the Skywalker lightsaber on the cover? Well, imagine that you ever see certain kind of beams of light going up into the distance, huge spotlights. I felt like that sort of come out of my chakras to a certain specifically crown chakra. And there is a let know in regards to it. There was a rip earlier in regards to certain things regarding my crown chakra, so there is a let know in regards to it. Potentially something getting stitched out. I don't know. Stitched out, eh? Well, I don't know. I've felt certain kind of rips. To a certain extent, I am having for rips. I mean, you guys need in. Those means you guys need to be protected. It means you guys indicated I'm having for thoughts to be protected. It means you guys indicated mentality thoughts to be protected. It means you guys indicated. Yeah, well, that would be why. I'm asking for those areas that means guys needed to be protected the way guys needed. Okay. Well, I'm going to go and run down the week because I think that's needed. I want to get this issue on the road. So, AJH Daily Defensives, February 1st, 2019 to February 7th, 2019. Okay, let's run her down. Oh, Jesus. Why would that be, huh? Is that correct? Seems to be, Alex. It seems to be. Missed the first. I don't know. It says that I did. Seems a bit strange, though, because I do remember doing it. Well, then we're going to have to... Yeah, you don't have your month thing in play right now. I mean, I don't know why. That makes no sense. I and others moments regards are asking for clarifications in regards to the AJH Daily Defensives. That means guys needed to be displayed. Where means guys needed. Where means guys needed. Either way, I'm going to create another one just in case. So, what exactly took place? Let's go back and run it down, shall we? Okay, then. You don't know why. I don't know. No. That's what they say. Well, let's see here. Well, and other moments or guides are advocating for Oh, wait a second here. You don't know why. Well, yeah. So on the first, was it February 1st, 2019? There was so it was morality, immorality talk, that sort of thing. Harpoon tethering. As a psychic, I felt other sort of dimensional stimuli where I felt like tethering, like harpoon, like Gulliver's Travels, like that sort of thing, where it's like they put a harpoon and there's like really for fuck's. Okay, well, all right, well, no, that's for fuck's sake. What? Well, anyway, certain kind of harp. I'm gonna say it again. Anyway, never. Certain kinds of things where certain kind of tethering in other dimensional existences, certain kind of ropes, kind of hooking you to certain kind of areas and certain kind of frames, things like that. Inspired tunes is a certain kind of okay then. What else was there? Time passageways was talked about a bit. Past process, smoke and mirrors kind of stuff. Getting to work, process direction. It felt like a certain process direction was happening that day. It was a little bit of a that was another one. Skeleton crew. It's a bit of a skeleton cruise kind of going on. I think people are trying to situate my process in a certain kind of way. So I'm advocating for respect regarding that. The way these guys negated. Knowledge was talked about as well. Process passageways was affected that day. I'm advocating for healing, protection, defense, etc. Departments regards in regards to process passageways, as well as getting to work the way you guys need. I'm advocating for process direction and communication. Let knows to be protected the way you guys need. I'm advocating for chirpy bastard content experiences, ripple effect direction, and knowledge to be safeguarded the way you guys need. I'm advocating for understanding in regards to skeleton crews and other departments regards the way you guys need. It's that sort of thing where I kind of felt like there was not too many spirits at a certain kind of time. Around me, I felt like there was a certain kind of effect regarding it. I am asking for clarifications in regards to the AJH Daily Defensives February 1st, 2019, to be displayed where you guys needed, the way you guys needed, light, fire, light, setting them you guys needed, and like doing what you guys needed regarding it, the way you guys needed. Well, that would be why. Yeah, so that day was a little bit. No, that's what's messed up about it. I remember doing it earlier today. I did do it earlier today. Actually, I remember putting certain kind of advocations into play for this day, I believe, as well as the 31st. There was 2 days that I was trying to, one of which was trying to situate, and I think that this was one of them. Yeah, the harpoon tethering. That was one of them. Communication. That was a truth. So why don't we? This is the case of this. What exactly is it? No, it needs to be understood. Okay, so it got archived. Here it is. All right, so somehow it got archived. I don't know how that happened. Let's send this to board. Perfect. It is there. It does exist, and not a, okay. So it is here. This is perfect. I don't know how it got archived. I do not remember archiving it, but I did put a second one just in, just in case in the play. So yeah, so that was February 1st, 2019. February 2nd, 2019, some of the concepts of websites was talked about. Um, relationships as well. I'm advocating for relationships and websites to be protected the ways as needed. I'm advocating for war, peace, and peace war to be protected the ways as needed. That was some of the stuff talked about as well. Meant for the good, that means he hasn't needed to be protected. That means he hasn't needed. Meant for the bad, that means he hasn't needed to be protected. That means he hasn't needed. Serial killers and murderers was talked about as well. So yeah, that was let's get that out of the way. I don't know. There's certain signs here and there that I saw something to do with kind of a certain kind of that sort of darkness kind of stuff to a certain degree was I don't know if it was around, but it was a let know that there was something happening in regards to it. I'm imagining for what these guys need in regards to serial, that these guys need in regards to this marketing education, etc. Guys needed a conflict was another one was talked about. Music information, another. It's been let knows at times in regards to certain kind of music, and this is actually, I think this was the day actually that happened, that there was a certain kind of forefront in my life where I kind of felt like this live perspective was kind of around me in a certain kind of way, and there was this let know that I've sort of stayed away from music in a certain kind of way, and some people said that it was partially, I don't know why, it might have been partially because of how inspiring to me in music is. For Alex James Hislop, it's up there. Some people were looking at film, I think, to a certain degree for what's acceptable. This is what's messed up about this, is that there's a certain kind of conflict at times that's been in regards to music and earth. And some people looked at it and said, oh, okay, but if it was Alex, it'd have to do with something to do with film, right? Because that's really one of them for him, isn't it? But then somebody looked at something else and said, but you know what? There's something about music too. Wait a second. Specifically in regards to inspiration and love, it really does invoke that sort of thing. You put on music, you put on jams, and it's just that sort of, and it's not just in regards to Alex James Hislop, it's in regards to a certain kind of inspiration. Films this kind of thing where you can put together a whole kind of thing where live, there is lives, people talking about it right now, sure, but there is that sort of thing. You know what I'm talking about, and it's a comparison to as what music can be pertaining to inspiration and what film can be to a certain degree. And there's a reason why within film itself, there's such a respect in regards to music, because it can change the whole tone. It can change everything. There's good music in a film. It really could. You can change, stars changed in regards to it. And now there is something to be said, though, about a good music video. You can't underestimate it because it really does matter, too. Anyway, there is that sort of thing. I'm adding for the music and earth conflict that means guys negated in regards to earth and others from Inspired Guides to be situated the way these guys indicate. There really is this sort of, I've noticed a certain kind of conflict in regards to physical humans, that from Inspired Guides indicated, as well as other dimensionals that Inspired Guides indicated pertaining to Earth, as well as others from Inspired Guides, the way Inspired Guides indicated. I've noticed a certain kind of back and forth in regards to maybe for some pot shots, but for others, they might not necessarily be trying to focus on that. Some did at one point in time, and some didn't. Maybe they were focusing more on inspiration. Inspiration? Yeah, that one, yeah. But there's that sort of thing. There's nothing wrong with that. It really can be, and maybe that's their own way of dealing with it in a certain kind of way. There's nothing wrong with that to a certain extent. I don't think there is. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just an interpretation. Anyway, I think that it does exist, and I think that there is something about it. Arguing this week, son of a gun, what has been going on? What the ish has been happening? I and others from Inspired Guides are out with the clarifications in regards to arguing that Inspired Guides need to be displayed where Inspired Guides need, the way Inspired Guides need. I have felt certain kind of arguing kind of mechanisms and things of that nature. Implanting of negative emotions, negative energies happening. There's certain kind of communication mechanisms that wants me to keep talking and arguing and back and forth. This sort of thing. There's people who sometimes can't shut up at times. There's a reason, and how there has to be. Well, for what's acceptable, obviously. But, there is a thing like that. Well, whatever. With that being said, and others from Inspired Guides are asking for what means needed regarding arguing pertaining to the first week of February 2019, the way Inspired Guides indicated. Argument systems. I'm advocating for the no more arguments that Inspired Guides needed to be situated the way Inspired Guides indicated. I and others from Inspired Guides are advocating for what Inspired Guides indicated in regards to the second, fourth, no, not the fourth. No, not the fourth. I and others, defined by Inspired Guides, are advocating for what Inspired Guides indicated in regards to. Let me go and. I just want to make sure. Let me make sure here. No more arguments section. I have a no more arguments section in my Peacekeeper Alex Trello account. A lot of different things on there. A lot of trying to protect and stuff like that. And there is protection to a certain degree. Peacekeeper Alex Trello account. I and others from Inspired Guides are asking for the clarifications in regards to it to be displayed where Inspired Guides indicated, the way Inspired Guides indicated. That's what they're saying, but this was the one that we were always keeping, and you don't know why. Because you put a lot of work into this. This was the whole thing of this. I have put work into it, and this is the truth of it. Because some people have done a lot more than they can hold on to their own stuff that they put so much goddamn work onto. See, this is the thing of this. That's a fairness issue, isn't it? Well, that's how we do things, Alex. Well, that's how you do things. That goes up a little bit different, doesn't it? Well, whatever then. If I was to sit here and work on something like that, do you think I would deserve to steal the stuff right from under you? No. There's no way. I'm sorry. That's a fairness issue. There should be multiple different things to be able to do that, right? Different kinds of content experiences, different kinds of existences, things of that nature. And some people want to play it that way, but that ain't going to fly for me. No way. It's not going to fly for any of them in the moments, too. You don't think they're going to fight? You don't think there's going to be things like that? Sure there is. And it's going to be. There's people like that who say, you know what, it's still not enough. There's people who came out of those existences and said, you know, it's still not okay. No way. There's so many other ways we could have done it. So many other ways we can do it. And there's a reason why there's a little bit of anger at God this week. And because there is. There's an upsetness. Because we're tired of waiting. We're tired of having to waste our resources here and there on things that just, for stuff that's not true? Stuff that's manipulated and influenced in a certain kind of way? Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. All right. There's nothing else to say, Alex. And don't think God's on your side when he might not be for what's acceptable. Oh, is that it? Oh, you're okay. Am I wrong? Oh, am I? Okay, tell me how I'm wrong. This is the thing of it. For frig's sake. Anyway, sorry, I don't mean to be upsetting about it. God, some people believe in him, some people don't. Either way, spirits of power exist, though, I feel, to a certain degree. I have, felt at times beings in my area where it's like, whoa, this has to be a certain kind of angel, or it has to be some kind of demon to a certain degree, or demonic presence. I have felt paranormals in my process. I have felt ghosts. I have different kinds, people moving in the background, seeing shadows here and there, beings in the shadows and light, the light just kind of the hue of the light kind of changing, and a brightness to it, and a darkness to the shadows. Like different kinds of things like that. Matter for my router and my phone that makes you guys need it, as well as the Eris phone jack that makes you guys need to be protected. That makes you guys need it. Matter for the light that makes you guys need to be protected. That makes you guys need it. I'm adding for the crystal rock lamp that makes you guys needed to be protected. That makes you guys need it. I'm adding for the purification in regards to my crystal rock lamps that makes you guys need to be protected and healed daily. The way my Instagram guides indicated. Benjian, Alon, Light, Far Light, setting the makes you guys needed like daily. Do what my Instagram guides needed in regards to those purifications that makes you guys needed. The way my Instagram guides needed. It does matter. Okay, continuing on here. Another thing, argument systems. I'm advocating for the argument systems. That means you guys need to be protected. That means you guys need to be advocating for magic. We talked about magic this day. This is the 2nd. This is February 2nd. Women's guys indicated. I'm advocating for youth protectorates to be protected. Women's guys needed. I'm advocating for reasons why you don't want to harm youth to be displayed. Women's guys needed. Women's guys needed. I'm advocating for elders to be protected. Women's guys needed. I'm advocating for magic and genies to be protected. Women's guys needed. I'm advocating for why nature and magic as well as technology get along to be displayed where women's has negated, the women's has negated. I'm advocating for sim-like experiences to be safeguarded, the women's has negated. I'm advocating for repairs in regards to it to be protected, the women's has negated. I'm advocating for amorality rights to be situated and understood as to why certain people don't work against Alex James Hislop and others from Instagram guides to be displayed where women's has negated, the women's has negated. I'm advocating for those, physical immorality promoters that women's has negated to be protected in regards to those that women's has negated, the women's has negated. Okay, well. There's reasons why certain physical don't attack me at times. And, some people say it's that, and there is at times. It's multiple. I think it's a mixed bag to a certain degree. Anyway. I'm adding for content experience guardians that makes you guys needed, as well as existence, destruction, prowess to be protected that makes you guys needed. I'm adding for anarchism, one of the themes this week, as well as more content experiences to be protected that makes you guys needed. Yeah, a lot of different things this week. Word support. I'm advocating for word support to be protected. That means you guys need it. I'm advocating for treadmill spirits. That means you guys need it, as well as jackassery to be protected. That means you guys need it. Another concept people talk about aspergery, that sort of thing. To be I'm advocating for it to be protected. That means you guys indicated. Well, there's one missing. Well, good for you, Alex. Well. Alrighty. Advocating for therapeutics to be protected. These guys negated. I and others, women's guides are advocating for sanity and insanity to be protected. These guys negated. Another theme was the insane kind of thing going on. I mean, this was one of those days that where you potentially could say it, or either it was that or it was the day before, so that one really doesn't matter. I'm asking for clarifications regarding it. Jesus crap's sake. Well, that's brutal. I'm asking for information guardians to be protected when he's designated. I'm asking for communication creation to be safeguarded when he's designated. Laziness was another one we talked about. There's another one. I'm lazy at times. This is the real true. I'm asking for laziness to be protected. Who's designated? I'm asking for digital transportation to be safeguarded the way he has needed. I'm asking for safeguarding teams that means has needed to be protected the way he has needed. I'm asking for the words that means has needed in regards to Eureka, Excelsior, serendipity, and minutia to be protected the way he has needed. How dare I? There was a little thing here. Let me just fix it. There we go. It's fixed. All right. And other moments, you guys are asking for gaming infrastructures as well as the psychic gamers to be protected the way he has needed. I'm asking for contacts that means it has needed, and history making to be protected that means it has needed. I'm asking for protection, defense, etc. for moments, you guys to receive the resources and support that means it has needed. I'm asking for the light, fire, light setting that means it has needed, light to protect, protected, defended, and healed the way my main spirit guides indicated. I'm asking for gathering and meetings to be protected that means it has needed. Light, fire, light setting that means it has needed, light display your defense on this AJH Daily Defensives the way my main spirit guides indicated. Matter for far dark and dark to display its defense in the ways that main guys needed, on the content that main spirit guys needed, the way main spirit guys needed. Okay, well that's kind of shitty. A little bit. Well, you're just a little upset you're stuck with you and me, oh my, every freak's sake. I'm asking for gathering and meetings to be protected. It was a bit of a gathering day, I think, on the 2nd. I'm asking for technological advances that these guys needed, as well as reasons why technology, nature, and magic get along to be displayed. Where guys needed to get the way guys needed. I'm asking for AI programming to be protected. The way guys needed. Again, it was one of those talkings about. And I'm asking for AI technology and AI life that means guys needed to be protected. Means we guys needed. I'm asking for those experiencing life beforehand in regards to others that main camp indicate to be protected. Means guys needed. There's this concept that people could potentially in regards to certain spirits and beings experience their lives in a certain kind of way, and there's also those that are potentially could experience their lives after in a certain kind of way. For in regards to some of them, those that means that's needed. There is that sort of thing. It does exist. A lot of there's other ones too. I'm not going to go fully into it, but I'm advocating for the themes that means that's needed to be protected. Means that's needed. Third day. All right, February 3rd, 2019. Another topic about was copy and pasting, clarifications and safeguards. Might rather that to be situated the way you guys need. It was I think an anti-camp day. Was it this day? A little bit of one, I think. I meant for anti-camps, or maybe it was the day after. For anti-camps and pro-camps to be protected when you guys needed. But for certain barren areas that means you guys needed to be protected when you guys needed. But for template beings to be protected when you guys needed. I'm looking for templates that means you guys need to be situated the way you guys need. I'm for those that you guys need to request the templates on the 4th. That means you guys needed pertaining to February 4th, 2019 to be safeguarded and protected the way you guys needed to be given the resources and compensation. That's what means you guys needed. The way you guys needed. I'm looking for information migration as well as information stationary to be protected the way you guys needed. I'm looking for information formation and creation to be protected the way you guys needed. I'm looking for bigs and smalls conflict to be protected. When you guys needed, I meant for medium-sized to be protected. When you guys needed, I meant for defending in regards to direction and consent. The way you guys indicated. I'm asking for guidance pertaining to process to be initiated. The way you guys need. I'm asking for initiation to be protected. When you guys need in regards to those that you guys need. The way you guys need. I'm asking for war resources to be safeguarded. The way you guys need. I'm asking for battle ability. The way my camp indicated. I'm for organization as well as lighting and shadow within comics to be protected. We says negative comics. Another one. I'm for film and music to be protected. We says negative. I'm for film creation to be protected. We says negative. I'm for let knows in regards to the beginnings and endings that we guys needed to be situated the way we guys negated. I'm for protection in regards to conflict revolving around film and music the way we camp indicated. Clarifications pertaining to advocations that means as needed, when as needed. I'm advocating for clarifications prowess in regards to those that means as needed, when as needed. I'm advocating for self-process maintenance, as well as ways to approach handling your process by yourself for what's acceptable to be displayed where as needed, when guides needed. I'm advocating for low maintenance in regards to processes to be safeguarded and understood in the ways that makes sense needed. For miniature wargaming communities, as well as wargaming to be protected in the ways that's needed. For guardians and protectorates to be protected in the ways that's needed. I'm for chefs and cooks to be protected in the ways that's needed. For kitchen staff to be given the resources, support, and weaponry that makes guys needed. The way we needed. Don't fuck with the cooks. Don't fuck with the cooks. Friggin' heck. Don't screw with the kitchen staff either. I mean, that's also it. I mean, gotta give a cook a shotgun, man. Those these guys need the women guys need it different. There's just something there. It's not meant like that, man. Jeez, no. It's not meant like that. Oh, well, that's also why. Okay, alright. Well, that was why. Good for you. And for safeties in regards to reasons why we could pursue intimacy more often, the way we guys indicated. Matter for intimacy to be safeguarded the way it says needed. Matter for reasons for the next 6 hours in regards to intimacy, why we could pursue intimacy, and ripple effect, etc. components regards pertaining to intimacy, especially in regards to this advocation, etc. components regards to be displayed and understood where it remains for guys indicated the way it says needed. Matter for understood to be protected the way it says needed. I'm advocating for non-communication guardians to be protected when these guys needed. I'm advocating for recreational guardians to be safeguarded the way these guys needed. I'm advocating for recreational facilitators to be protected the way these guys needed. Thank you. I'm advocating for, yeah, that's it. So that was some of the themes and topics talked about on those days. I mean, and like, how do you talk about some of these themes? Like, okay, we get into discussion at times. I get to tell, like, different kinds of communications. I feel something. Different kinds of pickups and understandings as to what's taking place around me, what's happening potentially out there. At times, I've been in the dark in certain areas. On the 6th and the 5th. Maybe it was not the 6th. No, it wasn't the 6th. It was on the 5th. I kind of. There was even throughout this week, I kind of felt a little bit in the dark. There was a little bit in the dark on my end. So, for what, take it. For what you will. There does somewhat exist. The 4th, 2019, I'm advocating for my family's emissions need to be protected. I'm advocating for procreation to be protected. Yes, I'm advocating for lovers' defense AI to be protected. I am advocating for Aphrodis to be protected. Aphrodis is fully defined by main spirit guides. The way main spirit guides indicated. I'm advocating for Aphrodis that main guides needed to be protected the way main guides needed. Aphrodis. Behind others from Instagram guys are advocating for Aphrodis that main guys need to be protected. Main guys need APHROEROS. The way main guys negated. I'm advocating for the AI that main guys needed to be protected. Main guys needed. Some of which might be teams. Some of which might be intimacy AI. I'm advocating for the clarifications pertaining to that. And understanding. Spirits, beings, etc. Departments regards being forced in regards to doing certain advocations, clarifications, information, etc. departments regards that means regards indicated in regards to it, and it's not because of that I'm doing those advocations. In fact, it's totally separate. The way regards indicated, I came up with one beforehand, so that's a bit of a tell. And also I was let know afterwards in regards to a certain kind of way. Light, far light, setting them guys needed, like doing means guys needed in regards to Aphrodis' defense that means guys needed, the way guys needed. I and others from Guides are advocating for those that means guys needed to protect those beings, spirits, etc. Departments or guides that are being forced to do advocations, disclaimers, testifications, that and others to main spirit guides needed. The way main spirit guides needed. There's been people that have been forced to do that. I'm advocating for clarifications in regards to those that are not AI and those that are in the ways that main spirit guides indicate the way main spirit guides needed. It really does matter. It's one of those that are greatly important. I'm advocating for languages to be protected in ways that's needed. I'm advocating for language and communication to be protected in ways that's needed. I'm advocating for overlap creation to be protected in ways that's needed. I'm advocating for those experiencing lives that may camp indicated in a certain kind of way to be protected. The way as indicated, I'm advocating for passengers to be protected. The way as indicated, I'm advocating for incarnations to be protected. The way as indicated, I'm advocating for metamorphosis to be protected. The way as indicated, I'm advocating for the event that may as needed to be protected. The way as needed. That's a good one. I'm advocating for overlaps of information that may camp indicated pertaining to Alex James Hislop advocations that may camp indicated the way may camp indicated. I'm advocating for protection, defense, etc. Upon remains for guides in regards to those that may as needed, the way remains for guys needed. That's some of the clarifications. I'm advocating for Benji and Big Square, Little Square, Mini Square, Weak Square, etc. Departments for guides to be protected in ways as indicated. That's what we're doing here. Oh, I am advocating for clarifications. That was a bit today too. In regards to me experiencing my life, in a certain kind of overlap kind of way, in experiencing my life in a sort of circle kind of way, where like I live a month and I sort of I run it down, and then all of a sudden I see sort of symbolics throughout it all that if I was to look on another day in the future where on what happened today, there'd be a reason as to what took place that day, by way of me reading what happened that day, sort of affecting how that day unfolded. I'm asking for clarifications and information in regards to that sort of stuff in regards to Alex James Hislop and others from Ministry Guides to be displayed where Ministry Guides needed, the way Ministry Guides needed. I and others from Ministry Guides choose what Ministry Guides needed regarding that pertaining to our processes that Ministry Guides needed, the way Ministry Guides needed. Holy. That was dang decent. For communication rights, that Ministry Guides needed to be displayed where Ministry Guides needed, the way Ministry Guides needed. Another one's that's sort of hit the marker at times. Advocation rights, disclaimer rights, testification rights, attestment rights, other information rights that means you guys need. I'm for what means you guys needed regarding it. I'm for local constructions that means you guys need to be protected. Means you guys need. I'm for locals to be protected. Means you guys need. I'm for clarifications in regards to templates that means you guys need. Means you guys need. I'm for clarifications to be protected. Means you guys need. I'm for humans to be protected. Means you guys need. I'm for immorality to be protected. Means you guys need. I'm for anti-gam amenities to be protected. Means you guys need. I'm for peoples to be protected. The way you guys need. I'm for influencing spirits and hookups and tetherings that means guys need to be protected. Means guys need. I'm for gods and peoples that may camp need to be protected. The way means guys need. I'm for compassion and care as well as trust and forgiveness to be protected. The way guys need. I'm advocating for females to be protected. The way guys need. Light, far light, sending means guys need. Like protect female. The way means guys need. In the ways that means guys need. The way means guys need. I'm advocating for the feminine genders that means guys need to be protected. The way means guys need. I'm advocating for the genders that main spirit guides indicated to be protected. The way main spirit guides indicated. Exactly, Alex. I'm for eye technology to be protected the way it has needed. I don't know, something up with the eyes. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but something with the eyes going on here, and I'm advocating for what main guys needed regarding it. Certain kind of eye technology. Things of that nature. I'm advocating for what means guys needed regarding it, and I'm wondering if it's new on some other peripherals, some other radars that means guys needed. I'm advocating for what means guys needed regarding it. It's not the only thing, It's not the only thing. There's other senses, man. Well, I'm advocating for the other stuff, the technology in regards to the other senses that means guys needed to be protected. The means guys needed. I'm advocating for immorality defense that means guys needed to be protected. The means guys needed. I'm advocating for the showcasing of the new items and the technology that means guys needed to be displayed where means guys needed, the way means guys needed. I'm advocating for nature to be protected, the means guys needed. I'm advocating for free energy platforms that means guys needed to be facilitated and protected, the way means guys needed. So we go to the fifth, we go to the fifth, we go to the fifth. I'm advocating for access to be protected, the way means guys needed. I'm advocating for existence creation, existence is destruction to be protected, the way guys needed. I'm advocating incognito and privacy to be protected the way as needed. I'm advocating for love and hate to be protected the way as needed. That's it. Kind of felt like there was certain kind of love and hate kind of spirits around, feng shuing certain kinds of things. I'm advocating for showdowns that way as needed, facilitators of hate to be protected the way as needed. I'm advocating for villains showdowns that way as needed to be protected the way as needed. That was also it, Alex. So that would be our tell now. There is a loop there. I think so. We've seen multiple different things like that already. And this is the case of this. That's it. It's been basically a fold of the week. I don't know. You tell me. The week? Today's been one of them. It's that sort of thing that's got folded onto maybe past days the way it's guys indicated. So I'm advocating for clarifications regarding that. This is recording, good sirs. All right, then. I and others from regards choose what means guys indicated in regards to folds that means guys needed in regards to Alex James Hislop's process and what means guys indicated. I and others from regards choose what means guys needed in regards to the folds that means guys needed pertaining to the processes that means guys needed the way which guys needed. Matter of the incarnational forefathers that means guys needed in regards to my life and others from means guys to be protected, which guys needed. Matter for cats and dogs that means guys needed why cats and dogs get along to be protected, which guys needed. Matter for debates and conversation as well as fair treatment to be protected, which guys needed. I'm, this is some of it I'm not revealing, some of it I am. It's just sort of going through it. Oh, I did do advocations this day in regards to clarifications in regards to my actions, non-actions, etc. Departments guides. Especially in regards to those attaching, etc. Departments guides. When it was needed, it was one of those days where I did do the kind of those advocations a bit. For coexistence in regards to realism, story, and understanding regarding to be protected. When it was needed, for protection, defense, etc. Departments guides to receive blessing and miracle support. The way it was needed. For miracles and support. To receive concept prowess the way these guys needed. Holy. I'm advocating for industry and nature get along and work well together the way we can to be protected. Which doesn't need. You don't know why. I'm advocating for what we just need regarding. I'm advocating for why defense and protection get along to be displayed where mainstream guides indicated, the way mainstream guides indicated. Advocating for understanding higher planes battle and transparency to be protected. The as needed. For reasonings as to why we go in the routes we're going, as well as transparency regarding the way we say as needed. For battle amenities and war supplies to be protected. As needed. For meetings and gatherings to be safeguarded. The way we say as indicated. For afterlife to be protected. As needed. There was lead nose in regards to afterlife and incarnation that day. That was one of those topics we talked about. I'm for knowledge to be protected. As needed. For psychic and psychictivity to be protected. As needed. This is some of it, eh? I mean, just because I do, like, that's also it. It doesn't necessarily mean that I didn't talk about it. I'm out for Protea Guardians to be protected. If I was to move on and just continue moving on, doesn't necessarily mean that we didn't talk about Protea. Protea is this sort of term that I use in regards to a certain kind of cities, areas, nations, factions. That means you guys need the way you guys need it. It's also a concept too. The way you guys need it. I and others from Instagrams are advocating for high Protea and low Protea, as well as medi Protea. That means you guys needed. And medium Protea that means you guys need to be protected. You guys need. I'm advocating for Protea access and Protea entrances as well as Protea exits. That means you guys need to be situated and protected. You guys need. I'm advocating for those that guys needed to be protected. You guys need that Protea that spirit being exceptional. You guys need. Maybe for those that guys need in regards to be protected. You guys need. All right, fine. And for information and info, to be protected, which doesn't need for magnificence of its guys to be protected. What we talked about was the magnificent memory. I'm out for memory to be protected, which doesn't need. It was one of the themes of the week. Definitely. I'm out for Jackson's Point in Georgina, as well as Sutton and York region to be protected, which doesn't need. I'm out for Ontario to be protected, which doesn't need. I'm out for higher powers to be protected, which doesn't need. I'm out for peoples. The light and areas that make up indicate to be protected when as needed. For horns to be protected when as needed. For war dancing knowledge to be protected when so guys needed. For conversation spots, it means guys needed to be protected when as needed. For entertainment and rocks, it means guys needed to be protected when as needed. For Rockland, Wellgrove, Clinton Platform, Wellgrove, and others from Instagrams to be protected when as needed. For suppliers and vendors, mercantile, and others from Instagrams, as well as thieves and thief content experiences to be protected the way Instagrams needed. For quietness to be protected the way Instagrams needed. Sixth was quite heavy. A lot of different themes here. In fact, I'm actually going to go to this page and do it this way because I'm running out of steam. Let's see here. I'm out for steam to be protected when Instagrams needed. I'm for gaming to be protected, which doesn't need it. I'm for themes. There's a little more themes here than that, isn't there? It's gotta be. Why is there so many there? Well, I'm advocating for diary entries, marketing, AI, advocations, call words, mechanisms, work, soothsaying, physical time, media, legal, spiritual research, sports, social media, sporty mechanisms, psychic activity, change, process, direction, the event, moving on, and others from Instagram guides to be protected. The way Instagram guides need. I'm advocating for mechanisms move to be protected. The guys need. There was something that happened earlier, and I am trying to find it here. Yeah, I woke up today, and this was on the 4th, and so this is one of those things where, it really doesn't matter. I woke up today, and right off the go, I felt like my energies were totally changed. I had a dream, and I remember seeing my friend and my mother in this dream. I was shouting that it's too soon. Looking at the trees, who were partially being turned brown, like pistachio losing the green portion. It looked like that's the way it looked. Like the green was sort of like this green kind of pistachio, and the brown was kind of a sunset brown. And it was just like almost, it was in. I was, I could sense it on the trees, and the color was revealing, but then said there was something happening. The trees were being targeted and attacked. My friends said that they were being attacked in a certain kind of way. I woke up right after and felt my energies completely changed. Then, contact layer communications that changed. I felt a layer of life that was said to be a tree. Like I felt right when I woke up, I felt like this life was put on my right hand, and I felt like this life just sort of either dissipate or get moved or got killed. And I don't know which way. Well, other ones too, probably potentially. I don't know which ones it was, but it sort of happened. Something happened where it just sort of happened. And I don't know what to tell you, on that. I sort of like, that was sort of the insinuation that certain kind of tree energies, were getting attacked in that sort of way. And I remember feeling something in core areas at times. When I feel a tree, when I put my hand next to a tree, I do feel a certain kind of life to it. I do a certain kind of ecosystem, a certain kind of contact layer. And I felt like this contact layer kind of get attacked and moved. I did get resituated in a certain kind of way. I was at a certain kind of level where when I woke up, and it kind of felt like I was in a certain kind of spot, and I was like, whoa, what is going on right now? Like, where am I? And I sort of thought like they've insinuated that I've been attacked at times, hurt spiritually. And I started crying. I remember being really upset about it. I remember, being really upset that I sort of, that these certain areas, because the idea was that I moved upwards in a certain kind of way, that certain spirits, well, the idea was that some of them were still able to see me in a certain kind of way, which I was grateful for. And in other ways, potentially not. And I was just really sad, and I remember breaking down and crying about it and being really distraught. And I'm advocating for those spirits, beings, etc., components, you guys, and layers that makes you guys needed to be protected. The way you guys indicated. I'm hoping for situating regarding it. Did we get the Oscar? Yeah. Okay. Good. That's what we're going to handle. That's so. Whoa. Wait a second, good sir. You think you're in the Oscars, eh, Alex? No, I hope. I mean, that would be amazing. Anyway, I know there's 5 minutes for guys who are advocating for. Well, that's how I felt about it. Somebody was trying to do the screw you. You already you guessed that you're not going to get it. Sort of stuff to me. I'm like, no, that ain't cool, man. And I blew my tail away in hoping that I had an Oscar, or that I win an Oscar. Sorry. I know. God, don't tell me that. I don't want to know. I'll find out later. Anyhow, I and others defined by means spirit guides are advocating for what means spirit guides indicated regarding those that means guides needed, the way means guides needed. I and others from means spirit guides are advocating for the ruiners and the cheapeners that means guides needed to receive the resources that means guides needed, the means guides needed. How cool is that we could just be a regular person on the street, and some of us already have like other dimensional Oscars, like Academy Awards? How amazing is that? You never know if you just like watch a film and you watch it, like you have a really good film, and like, I don't know, you just never know. You just like, if you like a film, it could be a tell as to what's going on in your life. And you never know if like, the other dimensional sort of, categories that existed in regards to like award shows and that sort of stuff. And all of a sudden it's just like, that's really like amazing about it. You could be sitting there watching the Oscars and be like, wow, these guys are amazing. This is the best thing ever. And I can sort of see what the anti-gap would be going for. I'd be like, I don't know. It's a very self-indulgent person. It's like, just because I'm a fan of the Oscars doesn't mean I'm self-indulgent. Anyway, it doesn't mean that, man. For what's acceptable. I'm advocating for the oversaturation that means guys need to pertain to industries that means guys need to be situated. The way means guys need light, power, light, setting that means guys need light, do means guys need in regards to the moderation and oversaturation that means guys indicated. The way means guys indicated what? For freak's sake. Oh, come on, I don't deserve to be beaten up for that. Anyhow, well, that would be why. I'm advocating for Hollywood clarifications that means guys needed the way these guys needed. That's what's messed up about it. Okay, well, that would be why. That was also it. Oh, there is some stuff happening in regards to Hollywood people. I'm advocating for healing, protection, defense, etc. The way these guys needed. was a bit of a let know here that, this past week has been, I felt like a little bit argumentatives. Some of the argumentatives that I had to do with God. I did some really unclothed comments, something to do with, a really bad negative. And it was worse than what I did before. The day before, and this was, I said this yesterday, but the day before on the 5th, I sort of screamed and got angry. What I did was on holy ground. I basically just, I lost it a bit and said, where the hell are you? We need help at times. Like, I kind of feel like at times there are spirits who are getting attacked. And I know that there's powerful spirits out there, people who consider them, some of them gods. And I'm not meaning to upset anybody. I was looking towards someone, and I was looking towards that person, and I know there's multiple of them, but it was one of those people that it's some of that might have been the same, and it does potentially go to event. That's also it. You ever have a gaming experience where there's a person on a throne? It's like, maybe he needs a calling out or something like that. Like, I don't know. Then some of it might have been real. Like, that's also it. It's not just, some of it might be going to events in certain kinds of ways. It's not all gaming experiences in regards to when if you ever have a moment in your life where you're like, you just start screaming and freaking out and you ever want to take it back. Well, I put something into play in regards to my stuff and others' moments. Regards, if I ever freak out or get angry, it goes towards a venting thing. It's a part of this No More Arguments section on the Peacekeeper Alex Trello account, the defense board. And it exists. It's existed. It continues to exist. Maybe we're taking a look at why there needs to be clarifications in regards to it, as to why there needs to be continued information in regards to that sort of thing. And that sort of thing. We don't have to be here every 2 seconds. We don't have to bring this up anymore. It's done. There's nothing else to say about it. Anyway, I can't hold this forever, man. But, it's one of those things where I was like, I don't want to be arguing with the spirit. And if I ever do get unclothed, mouthy, disrespectful, I want to have something in place so that I know that I'm okay, that goes towards, it's not one of those things to be used as an excuse either. And I haven't been using it as an excuse. Here and there, maybe, but not really. Not really. It's always been that sort of thing where I still want to be doing what these guys needed. I don't want to freak out. Half the time I get freaking out, angry for people, manipulating and influencing me to go that sort of way. We were trying to move away from arguments in this process. January, 2019 was a good direction. There was like 4 or 5, moments, and that was it. And right now we're at 3. But you know what? Today was still, there were still things here and there. To a certain extent. And I can't imagine what it is for other dimensional existences in regards to myself and others. There's this sort of thing in other dimensional existences where they're looking at me and thinking that I'm going to be a madman. And it needs to stop. It needs to be situated. It's not funny at all. You guys say that I might be that, but what if I'm not? Imagine if I showed up at the beginning in a certain kind of way. Imagine if it's just like, yeah, Alex, but this is the thing of it. You don't have to show up. It's just, I want some, compensation or something like this. Or certain things like that, and all of a sudden some guy's there, it's just like, yeah, well, I am here. It's just like, regardless of how they play it, it's just great. Like, that's kind of shitty. You don't think there's going to be representatives, things like that in certain areas? You don't think it's going to be like that when I pass on? I don't know. Like, well, it's just to let you know that it could be. And it's just things like that. It's like, just because I'm going to be, potentially in the future, I might not necessarily be in the future. And if I am in the future, is it going to be that far off? Maybe not. What if I'm in the past? I mean, whoa, somebody's like, whoa. It makes sense then if you're in the past. Oh, no, for everybody's sake. There's different ways of setting up life and doing things. Like, how does that work if you're going to go into the past? Well, because of the way time works and incarnation, in front of the scenes kind of time and that sort of stuff. If you look at it from that perspective, that the timelines that you live, your life isn't necessarily just in a straight line. What if in your moments of your life, you could experience certain kinds of things where you meet your future self and you talk with him and you speak with him and there's a conversation that you have. You speak with your pasts, and then you get to that moment where you speak to them, and then it starts to make sense as to why that is, how many things you've been through, what you've sort of experienced. But it's one of those tells, but it's not the whole thing. Imagine that as your future self, you experience one of your past lives first. And so when you live your life, there's this life that you skip, and you're like, oh my God, why did I skip this life? Why didn't I get to experience anything? What happened? It's like, oh, your future self, maybe vetoed a certain kind of life, and he decided to live a certain kind of life there for a reason. And there was a reason for it. Maybe he took the hit. Maybe he took a vacation, stole one of your vacation days. You never know. I mean, this is the thing of this. Maybe it was both. I don't know. But there's that sort of thing where it's like, okay, well, okay, so who was he? How was he? Like, did you speak to him? It's like some people told you, some people maybe didn't. Depending on what it's not a specific example. It's not for what's acceptable. I'm talking about what as indicated, because that's why we need to talk about that sort of stuff. You don't know how important talking about that sort of stuff is. It really does potentially exist. I'm fairly certain in certain kind of context. If not, in the physical and other dimensional, then at least as a hypothetical that at least I think can potentially exist in a certain kind of fashion. It is that sort of thing where if somebody looked at it and said, yeah, we could potentially create and put certain things into play in regards to that sort of stuff. It's a definitely a scientific thing that could potentially happen. I think it does exist in certain places. It's just one of those things. You don't know why, because you really have. You never gave up on this, and it really was. Trust me. Oh, that? Yeah. Wait till you see what it really was. You're going to be like, why did I stop? Are you like, because I was tired? That's why. Well, whatever then. And that's the case of it. Well, that's why, because that was also it. It was barely anything. Like, that's how we felt about it. That's really it? That's how you felt about it? Well, never mind then, Alex. You don't know why that is, because you knocked some covers off, and it was just some, never mind. Jesus. So what the hell did you get when you won the real trophy? Holy fuzz. Holy shit. Excuse my language. Anyway, well, that's why. You spruce it up a bit, Alex? Well, no, hey, this is just, if that's what it was, heck. Oh, wow. Well, you raised the stakes, Alex. But why do you keep saying that I raised the stakes? Whoa, okay. Are you showing your teeth? Actually, I was just making sure that I didn't have any black ink on my teeth. Okay. Because somebody could see that. That's the truth of it. Stop burying your teeth on my content experience, good sir, for what's acceptable. For freak's sake. Teeth are sexy. Anyhow, yeah. No, I'm going with what these guys needed. Okay. Because we have to be over here. Oh, Jesus, what? You don't think I want your... like, this is the case of it. If it was me, I might say that. Like, this is the case of this. Because there's people who come around me in certain instances, and it's like, why are you now here, Hoss? For frig's sake. I mean, this is the thing of the certain dimensional selves at times. I mean, God, you can't even cuss out the people who are trying to steal your life half the time. For frig's sake. Oh, come on. Well, that's how some people feel about it, but, I feel how I feel. I'm advocating for a retired Alex PC, psychic activity changes, migration, dimensional placement, arguments be gone, entertainment conspiracies, and APOC to be protected. I'm ever apocalyptics. That means you guys needed to be situated the way you guys needed. I'm advocating for retired to be vindicated in the ways that you guys needed. I'm advocating for Alex PC to receive the resources and support that means you guys needed. I'm advocating for psychic activity and changes to be feng shui the way you guys need. I'm advocating for those movers and shakers of psychic activity. That means you guys needed in regards to Alex James Hislop and others from you guys to receive the amenities and supplies. That means you guys needed. The way you guys needed for amenities and resources as well as supplies to receive recharging and monetary. So you guys needed for monetary creation to receive staving prowess. The way you guys needed. For reasons why you want to do monetary creation to be displayed. We need vacation for some of those monetary spirits. Where is indicated. That's what we did. I bet your vacation time in regards to those who says need every vacation to be protected. It says needed. Vacation, man. It's like a smooth, velvety chocolate on a beach, palm tree, the Corona. Lawn chair, sun. Yeah, definitely. I'm out for swimming with the sharks to be protected when he says needed. Jesus, Alex, that's messed up. Is that a life dream? Yeah, I think it is. I think it should be. Alex, it'd be the best thing you ever do. I swear to God. We're going to scare the crap out of you if you ever do it. Trust me, the sharks are going to... No, don't. I'm out of the sharks that these guys needed to be protected the way these guys indicated. You don't know why, because that's why we have. You don't think you're the only one that could do it? There's a couple things that only you can do. You know that? Yeah, you should. This is the truth, but go ahead. Pure contemplating debris. Maybe that's one of them. Swim the fishes, Alex? Is that it? No, I said I was going to swim the sharks. Oh, okay. Well, that's why. The shark is a fish, man. Oh, he's a big fish with teeth. Yeah. Well, I thought he was... I think he is actually considered a fish, but, maybe he isn't. Let's see here. Jesus Christ, Alex. Whoa! Okay, that's enough of that. For freak's sake, that is enough of that, good sirs. Please! No, no. Those guys, for sake, not those guys. That's how you felt about it. Yeah, there's a darkness to space sharks, man. There is. You know what I'm talking about, you know. Like I feel more comfortable with ocean sharks to a certain extent. That's kind of how I feel about it. Well, trust me, you've swum this. Trust me, you have. I know you have. This case of this, there's space sharks. Sure, there is space sharks. Oh God, it's that one where it's like floating and it's like ooh, no, not that one. It's like ooh, scar, everybody scar, everything. Well, that's the problem with it. Well, whatever then. Well, whatever. You three syllables. Scarfasa, Scarfasa, yeah, yes, Scarpa. Oh man, that's why, Alex. How dare you? How dare you? Friggin' heck. That was why. I'm waiting for a Scarfasa and Scar to be protected. But he says needed. Maybe for the space sharks, that he says needed to be protected. He says needed. Anyway. Yeah, so that really that day in the fourth, man, I'm advocating for what Mr. Guys indicated, the way Mr. Guys indicated. I'm advocating for let know in regards to psychic defense that Mr. Guys needed to be embedded on the content that Mr. Guys needed, the way Mr. Guys needed, you know, I'm advocating for what Mr. Oh yeah, that is a good idea. I should read the yes, definitely should read that. That is important. Alex James Hislop, main caps, Mr. Guides, main caps, current information from light takes priority in regards to what main cap indicated, the way main cap indicated, light main caps. Current information from light regarding what we can in regards to myself and others to find for what they chose for us in regards to this portion of the disclaimers takes priority. How we kept it in light, the way we kept it in light. Recaps current information for what they chose for the AJH Daily Defensives Content. February 7th, 2019, information that may be happening, as well as other information that may be happening. It takes priority and may be happening in light, may be happening in light. Any grammatical errors, etc., defined by camp within this content, etc., defined by camp that may cap indicated can be clarified by camp's information, should not deter from the information within this content, etc., defined by camp, the way may cap indicating light. For myself and others, defined by camp, all that is dimensions, especially far light, as well as what may cap indicator are defined by my main cam, by main spirit, oh, sorry, by main spirit guides in the light, the way main guides indicate in the light, the way main spirit guides chain of command is fully defined by main spirit guides in the light, the way main spirit guides indicate in the light, I and others defined by main camp are advocating for what main camp chose for us to advocate in regards to this content, etc. Defined by camp, the way main camp indicated in light, light, and those that main camp indicated in light do what main camp indicated in regards to this content, the way main camp indicated in light. Testifications, Alex James Hislop, main camp, main spirit guides, I and others defined by camp testify in regards to those that from camp indicated specifically in regards to AJH Daily Defensives Content, February 7th, 2019, and others from the camp, indicated. This includes what we camp indicated, the way we camp indicated, I and others from the camp are advocating for the punishment in regards to these testifications, etc. To be one we camp indicated, the way we camp indicated, I and others from the camp are advocating for the ripple effect, etc. In regards to these testifications, etc. To be what we camp indicated, the way we camp indicated, I and others from the camp are advocating for our testifications, etc. To be utilized, etc. The way we camp indicated, when we gives current information, etc. In regards to these testifications, information, etc. Takes precedence when we camp indicated, when we gives chain of command is fully defined by main spirit guides in the light, the way main guides needed in light. Alex James Hislop, main camps, main spirit guides, I and others defined by camp are advocating for healing, protection, etc. Defined by camp in regards to AJH Daily Defensives Content, February 7th, 2019, and others from the camp, the way main camp indicated, I and others from main spirit guides choose what main spirit guides indicated in regards to what they chose for us to choose in regards to this AJH Daily Defensives Content, February 7th, 2019, the way main spirit guides indicated. You know, hang in there, people. It's been a strange week for me a bit, and I think that's sort of I'm wondering if it is. I'm advocating for the Joker that Mace has needed, as well as the Architects that Mace has needed to be protected. Mace has needed. And for clarifications in regards to conflict management, I'm advocating for what Mace guys needed in regards to the anti-camp that Mace guys needed, the Mace guys needed for past process to be protected. The Mace guys needed. You know, those themes out there on the you know, the galactic, you know, the multidimensional communities that Mace guys needed, as well as the galactic communities that Mace guys needed, and others from Mace guys are advocating for what Mace guys needed regarding it, the way Mace guys indicated in regards to this market application, etc. Upon Mace guys, the way Mace guys needed. I'm advocating for the soft let knows in regards to what Mace guys needed, the way Mace guys needed.